Next, a British woman who says she was gang raped in Ayia Napa has revealed exclusively to this programme a series of text and WhatsApp messages which she says show she was coerced by police there into retracting her rape allegations. The 19-year-old claims she was the victim of an ordeal involving a group of Israeli men who she had met earlier on the holiday. 12 were initially arrested. They can't be identified under Cypriot law. The victim says that when she was called in by police to clarify a few things with her statement, she was there for 5 hours and pressured to withdraw the allegations, which she eventually did. The men were released and flew back to Israel, while she was charged with public mischief for making a false statement. She was imprisoned and is now facing a trial herself. Here are those messages which she has shared with us. Message 1, which was sent at 02:36 in the morning. I don't want anything to do with Cyprus. I need someone British. Phone me, ASAP. I don't have much time. Mum, please, they could take me away at any moment. Please phone me. Message 2, they've just tried to make me sign something else. I tried to send a photo to my mum. The female police officer shouted at me and took it away and said I'm not signing it without a lawyer. I don't understand it. They've gone standoff. They've arrested me. And message 3, they wouldn't let me talk to anyone. I said I have a right to have a lawyer here. They said not in Cyprus, maybe in the UK, not in Cyprus. They've honestly made me sign false statements. Well, let's talk in his first live TV interview to Michael Polak, a human rights lawyer from Justice Abroad. That's a legal aid group providing help to the woman and her family. Thank you very much for talking to us. First of all, how is this woman?
Well, obviously, not only has she suffered what's a very terrible experience with the rape, but then she spent over 30 days in prison in Cyprus, and she's been made to stay in Cyprus, and now she's on trial. So one can only imagine how she's feeling at this time. It's difficult to describe, Victoria.
Can you tell us what you understand happened on the night that she alleges she was gang raped?
On the night she alleges she was gang raped, she went with one Israeli youth to a room, and then she says others forced their way in and had sexual intercourse with her against her consent. And the interesting point on that is a lot of the surrounding evidence seems to support her account. And we've started the trial already last week. We've had 1 day of it. And we had a Cypriot police officer giving evidence. And he was taking to a statement of one of the Israeli youths. And we don't say everyone who was arrested was involved. We don't say that at all. And when you look at the evidence, it doesn't say that. But one of the Israeli youths said he came across a group of them outside on the evening of the rape. And he asked them with his friend to the group, are you coming out to the nightclub with us tonight? And they said, no. And he said, they said in a bad and aggressive manner. This is how he described how they responded, in a bad and aggressive manner. His words, not mine. Said, we're going to F the English girl. That's what they said. So that gives you a kind of understanding about what might have happened.
How many men does she say raped her? Because 12 were arrested, 5 were released, and eventually all were released. How many men does she say were involved?
She doesn't know exactly. She was in a room there, and what she said, there was a large number of them. And what happened with the Cypriot police was they arrested 12 Israeli youths, but they didn't do very simple investigatory steps, like an ID parade for her to pick out people involved or not involved. So I'm sure people who weren't involved were arrested and spent time in prison as well, but that's down to the job, the investigation into the rape offence.
And did the woman have a medical examination? Because one would think that if it was a gang rape, there would be some kind of medical evidence.
There has been a medical examination. Her friends found her after the rape incident. They took her to the medical centre, which is within the hotel complex where she was staying. The medic there reports that what happened was she was inconsolable. She wouldn't let him anywhere near her. There's a video of him speaking about it, and he called the police. It was actually him who contacted the police and got the police involved, not her or her friends. And she was taken to a hospital for an investigation there, and we will examine the investigation reports.
Have you not looked at them yet?
I've not seen those reports.
Okay.
No.
So the night when she was recalled to the police station, she was told it was to clarify elements of her statement. That's the night she says she was effectively forced by the police, which they deny, to change her statement, to say actually it was a false allegation that she'd made against these men. What does she say happened that night? Obviously, we've shown our audience the text and WhatsApp, which you say she was sending to her mum and others while she was in the police station. What happened?
Well, on that night, so it's the 27th of July going into the 28th of July, 10 days after the rape incident, she was taken into the police station, and she'd been dealing with a female officer throughout the whole investigation who she had a good relationship with, who was supporting her in giving her statements and giving her evidence. And this occurred, she was taken to the police station on a night when that officer wasn't working, she was off duty, which we say rings some alarm bells.
But she does mention a female officer in those texts and WhatsApps. Is that a different one?
A different officer.
Okay, right.
So the officer who'd been supporting her wasn't there, gave her a call and encouraged her to go with the male officers to the police station. And this was just before 8 p.m. in the evening. The retraction statement comes just before 2 a.m. So there's this whole period she's been in that police station, and she says immense pressure was being placed upon her. They were saying things like, we're going to arrest your friends, you're not going to be able to go back to your mother, just sign this statement, everything's going to be okay. And we say the text messages you show your viewers there support what was actually happening in the police station. And one thing which is surprising and amazing about Cyprus and police stations there, nothing's recorded. Nothing's recorded in the police station. No audio recording, no video recording.
No legal representation.
No legal representation. So you've got this this environment which is ripe for pressure to be placed on people to change their evidence.
Why did she retract it, though?
Well, she's been put under this immense pressure. She's been told, just sign this and everything will be okay. We're going to arrest your friends. You're not going to be able to go back to your mother in the hotel. And for an 18-year-old suffering...
As she was then, yeah.
As she was then, suffering from PTSD, which affects how people behave, one can understand why she might have got into that situation. And it's quite interesting. There's a Netflix series at the moment, which is it's called Unbelievable. And the first episode kind of goes along the same lines as this. And we've got psychological evidence which shows that people suffering from PTSD sometimes will give a false statement, say retract their evidence, just to get out of the situation because of how they react to the PTSD.
We've had a statement from her mum who says our daughter has... her mum said this, it seems as though all of our lives have been set aside and paused as everyone continues to move around us. Our daughter has been diagnosed with PTSD from a psychological expert based in the UK and is on medication. What do you say would be the motive of the police officers who wanted her to retract her rape allegation against these young Israeli men? Well,
there was a huge political pressure in Cyprus, because you've got the town of Ayia Napa there, which exists and survives because of this type of tourism. Young people from all around Europe, from Israel, from the United Kingdom, from Sweden, everywhere in Europe come there. And for them to have a rape occurring there was something which would be very damaging to their economy. So the mayor of Ayia Napa came out with very strong prejudicial statements about what had happened, that kind of thing. So I think there was immense pressure on the police to get this sorted. And they thought...
And the police would bow to pressure from the mayor?
Well...
Police who you know, sign up and do their duty to protect people?
Well, this is all the circumstances of this retraction statement seem to show that they were under some pressure to get that retraction statement on that night. Why do it on that night without this female officer there? Why couldn't it have waited to the next day? Why not? Why didn't she have a lawyer? There were all these circumstances of this retraction statement which make it very worrying indeed.
I want to ask you about a video that was posted online of the woman having sex with one of these men earlier, that she'd met earlier on holiday, as I said in the introduction. And this footage was posted online without her permission. How did she react to that?
Well, it's obviously very distressing for people to be watching you in an intimate moment. And in none of the videos which we've seen, and those which have been posted online, show any consent to being filmed as well. Right. And the officer last week confirmed he's watched all the videos in the case, and there's no videos of consensual group sex at all. So, of course, it's very worrying for her to find out that this kind of thing has been put online.
So she is facing trial, finally, for something that's called public mischief, which is effectively giving a false statement. How are you going to try and get this retraction dismissed?
Well, Justice Abroad, the organisation I work for, we've put together a top legal team. We've got Lewis Power, Queen's Counsel, one of the UK's top 10 criminal barristers. We've got a top Cypriot female team, Ritza Pekri, Nicoletta Haralambidou, and they're experts in human rights law. They're experts in Cypriot criminal law as well. And we're quite confident that when they make these arguments, and it's for the prosecution to prove that the confession or the retraction statement is reliable, we say if the court looks at this fairly, it should be taken out of the case as a whole.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
Victoria.
talking to us.
Thank you.
Michael Polak, who is from Justice Abroad and is providing legal help to the woman and her family. And just to repeat, as I said earlier, Cypriot police deny that they forced the woman to retract her rape allegation.